It's a human nature. I think it's I'd be surprised if you, maybe not every one of us, but if you take us in general, our nature is to help somebody. Would you agree?
Oh, totally. That's
so. Then when we need to enable people to be people in the workplace.
In our marketing, we have a lot of assumptions about what we think will work. We have that golden gut. One of those assumptions is long form doesn't work. People want short, they want quick, they want quippy. Well, that's why you got to test and experiment and see what works. And we're looking at an experiment today that challenges that model. Hi, I'm Daniel Burstein. I'm the Senior Director of Content and Marketing at McLabs Institute. And I'm joined by Denis Mrkva, the General Manager of HealthSpire, a subsidiary of Aetna. Thanks for joining us, Denis.
Thank you for having me.
So here we're going to look at an experiment that your team ran with McLabs Institute. And so
Yes.
Let's just start, pull it up on the screen, and we've got the control treatment and 1 and treatment 2. And let's just start by telling us about HealthSpire briefly. Who are they? How does HealthSpire serve a customer?
Well, HealthSpire is an Aetna subsidiary, and as such we offer a portfolio of Medicare products for the seniors in the country that are eligible to purchase Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, as well as ancillary products such as dental and vision, cancer, heart attack, and stroke, really trying to protect as much as we can, enable people to have that protection holistically for their health.
Okay. And so when we look at this landing page, what was the goal of the landing page?
Well, the goal of the landing page, if you look at the control version, that's when the HealthSpire started year and a half ago. And as you said, we all want things to be shorter, cleaner, and to the point. Unfortunately, when you deal with a very complex product, and an industry such as a healthcare is, it is not that easy to do. However, a year and a half ago when we started HealthSpire, the assumption was, or hypothesis was, that we want to have something that's short and not confusing. What we were afraid of is that with more information will create more confusion, more friction, hence result in a negative outcome. So we decided to go with a first control version, simple, just outlining products we have without going in depth, and giving them a chance to contact us via phone, via schedule a call, or chat with us.
Let's take a look at, so what were you trying to do with these 2 treatments?
Okay, then a few months after standing up that page, we realized it's not working. We realized something's going on. And then I was fortunate to be referenced to McLabs and Flint by my manager. And when we started talking to McLabs, the lights went on, a light bulb went on. I realized that the discipline that McLabs has in actually understanding the relevant content, understanding the audience that we want to service, understanding the products is the way to go. So we engaged with McLabs to create a new set of landing pages that are actually focused on how consumer would like to interact with us, and especially that we have very targeted consumer segment that may not be that digitally savvy. Hence, we started working on a few different prototypes. Again, we wanted to have something that has a bit more information, it's more informative, but give 2 different looks and feels. One would be with a lot more information, in depth, another one with less information that would really service almost as a pass-through to people who have already done their research. And then we launched.
Yeah, so now you can see, and if you're watching too, look at the short versus the long, and think about that for a second. I think most people would assume, you can see how much longer that page is, short's gonna work better. It's quick, everything's right there. People don't want to read through things that are long. Let's take a quick look at the results. So now, and let me mention these results, they're pretty astounding. We're still in the middle of this experiment. Denis just happens to be joining us at our headquarters in Jacksonville, Florida here. So that's why we're discussing it now. So the results aren't complete yet, but looking at those early numbers, that's pretty astounding of how well the long form is doing.
No, it's doing great actually. And what we found out by working with McLabs and testing things is that at the end of the day, what we are asking somebody to do is call us and talk to a person. So having actually the person or the people that the customers will be talking to on the site, and actually having the opportunity to get to know the agents a bit before they call, and provide a content that would actually create a relationship between the customer and the agent on the site even before they call us is one of the reasons why we believe that the treatment fund is doing a lot better.
Yeah, so I think what you're doing there is it's a process level value proposition, right?
Yes.
You're not trying to sell all of HealthSpire, all of your entire product. All you're trying to do is get someone to make a call. And that could be a reason why the long form works better, because who among us is like, yes, I want to get on a call with someone to sell me. That's what I want to do. Let me grab that phone number right now. No, you have to sell them on the value of the call,
yes, right? Yes, and the part of that value is the people we employ. If you think about the agents that work for HealthSpire, all of our agents are college graduates. Mm-hmm. We believe that since the product itself and the industry is actually very complex, compared to some other industries that I worked in, such as consumer finance or the P&C insurance industry, it is heavily regulated. It has a diverse set of products and plans. And to actually understand that, we do want to employ people who have cognitive skills. Mm-hmm. And I think certificate of having cognitive skills in the country is having college degree. So we wanted to really try to figure out how do we, and I ran analytics for some time in my previous career where we had always opportunity to hire people with a high level of education. The question became, how can we create a call center culture mm-hmm. that becomes a value proposition for the college graduates who just spent maybe $40,000, $50,000 on their education, and now we're asking them to be on the phone. It wouldn't be appealing to me. I don't know. And then also inform our customers that but in order for us to service them, it has to start with our employees first. How we train them, how we treat them, how do we work with them, how do we develop them. And that connection that's being done on the digital landing page, or the longer version is showing results, it's working.
Yeah, so if we take a look deeper into the results at conversions, we see there's also more conversions for the longer pages. Clearly, you're not just getting more people, you're getting probably better leads, but also what you're doing on the call center side is working. And so let me ask you about that, because recently did a case study with the Globe and Mail, large Canadian newspaper, and they have a call center there. And what they were telling me is, the real challenge is, you probably have a bigger challenge in this, is there's such high turnover in call centers that they don't really get people who understand the product enough, right? And so what they had to do is create this messaging guide and really, give them all the information necessary to even someone who's only there a short time to understand the product. So it's interesting what you talk about. You have an even bigger challenge. Understanding a newspaper is one thing. Understanding a complex product that you probably yourself don't use because you're not a senior citizen is more difficult. So what are some of your tactics to reduce turnover and create a working environment that's amenable, and two, to educate them so they can help educate their customers and really understand the product?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because let's suppose that we are running a basketball team. Mm-hmm. That's our business, and as a coach and general manager, we show up for a game and we realize that our players don't know how to play the game. Whose fault is that? It's right. Coach and the managers. So the very first thing that we realized is that in order for people to do their jobs, we not only need to find the right talent and onboard them, but we need to continuously working on coaching them day in and day out. And through that process, the hardest part is how do you find a balance between them doing their job and having enough time to develop them into effective employees. But not only on a professional level, how do you help them to personally develop themselves and get them ready for some other jobs within the company or outside the company? So very quickly we realized that it all comes down to culture and environment. And what I mean by that is that, see, when we ask somebody to be on the phone 9 or 10 hours, it's humanly impossible to be focused on talking to customer after customer without having ability to actually take some time off and reflect on what was I talking about last call that made me do well versus not. Then we need to enable them to start learning about the fact that talking on the phone with somebody is perhaps the hardest sale you can make, and it has to do a lot to do with psychology of people rather than just knowing the product. Because what you're trying to do is in real time, without looking at the person, persuade the person that if we have the right product for them and their needs fit, that this is the right thing to do, and to make a decision that will be very impactful on their well-being and the financial health of their household budget. Now to do that, you also now need to take out product knowledge. You need to start helping them to understand the importance of listening, importance of being able to lead people in the conversation to certain decision making that you have to do on their behalf. So very quickly we realized it's not only about knowing the product and having a script that you can read. It's about exploring behind what's behind a sale. And on the phone, and it's a lot has to do with psychology of people and ability to people to adjust their approach to the customer given the differences they have listened to on the phone.
And it sounds like empathy.
It is.
Is that something that you look for when you're hiring? Empathy? Or?
What we look for is, and it's not easy, it's not easy to evaluate people in interview. It's integrity.
Oh, okay.
You have to do the right thing. And what are we doing here? We're trying to find the right solution for the customer. And if there is no right solution for the customer with us, we will not sell. Actually, we will recommend to either stay with what you have, or maybe you should go and call other providers that they have a product, because we can help them find a better product. Even though we cannot sell them, we can tell them there is a company X has this product, so you may want to go to the site.
So that's very interesting. I don't want to lose that point, because so I assume you're investing significant amounts to just get these calls to begin with, right?
Yes.
On the landing page,
Yes.
and each call is valuable to you. So you're saying that you train your call center employees when you don't have the right product for them to find the right product for them, whoever it's from, to point them in another
Indeed.
direction.
Indeed.
That's outstanding.
That's I think if you think about HealthSpire, as I said, is a subsidiary of Aetna. Aetna has been in existence for more than 160 years. And if you take a look at our competition, perhaps the one that's the second oldest one is most likely 100 years younger than us. There's a reason why Aetna survived all those decades or century and a half, more than century and a half, and that's ability not only to anticipate changes that are coming, but actually to be run with people who believe that our job is, of course, our fiduciary responsibility is to make money for our shareholders and to maximize that, but the way how we achieve that is the right way. And when you put these two together, I think you maximize both. You maximize the financial performance of the company, and you maximize a employee satisfaction engagement that then allows you to sustain the business model.
It's more fulfilling to employees to really serve the customer even when they're not selling their own product, it sounds like.
It's a human nature. I think it's I'd be surprised if you, maybe not every one of us, but if you take us in general, our nature is to help somebody. Would you agree?
Oh, totally. That's
so. Then when we need to enable people to be people in the workplace.
And let me ask you about that, because enabling people to be people in the workplace, that can be a challenge in call centers. So I wonder how you monitor individual performance, because a lot of what you're talking about would go against the metrics we see in a lot of other call centers, right? It's amount of calls they can make in a day, or getting off the phone quickly, or some of these things, right? It almost seems like a factory production. So how do you monitor individual performance and then allow people to be people in a call center?
It's interesting you said that, because before taking this position about 18 months ago, I never ran a business, a startup. I was in the area of analytics my entire career. It's a functional support, which you contribute, but it's really not a directly responsible for the performance of the business. Mm-hmm. And when I started learning about this, when I started my job, I reached out to people to see how other people do that. It's new to me. And I started thinking about things such as average handling time, minimizing average handling time. And I was thinking, and I realized, no, I want to maximize average handling time given the maximum productivity. In other words, we don't monitor average handling time. our agents, we have goals, what we need to sell, and then we have a very strict process of how we sell. That process ensures that we stay in compliance with the federal as well as state regulations, because some products are regulated by the federal government, some by state. The process in which we ensure that going from introducing yourself to sale is not 2 minutes, because in 2 minutes you cannot understand consumer needs. And even if they call you with a specific preconceived notion what they want to buy, we still want you to understand their needs, because given how complex and the industry is, many people actually need more education. So it's easy to us, we employ people to sell, but do it in the way that we want it to be done, which is actually serving that customer. And that's what we monitor. We monitor your productivity and your quality. How many calls you took, how much time you spent. If you sold 2 policies today and that's your goal, you want to go home, you go home. You have to allow people, give people goals, enable them with the support they have, and make sure that you hire people who are accountable. And accountability comes down to making sure that one does his or her job, and part of that is not how long you talk on the phone, how many calls. It's actually, are you doing the right thing, and are we meeting our goals?
And it sounds like diverging from the script when it's necessary.
Yeah, because script allows you to guide you to the framework of sales. What I mean by that, often if you call somebody to buy insurance product, most likely they sell only one product. And when you sell only one product, you don't want to know consumer needs, because if the needs tell you they need product B, which you don't sell, guess what? You don't have to sell. So you're pitching the product you have.
Right.
Now we have every product that's out there. So script allows them to systematically go through that process. And that's important because most of our people that work for HealthSpire, including myself, we don't have sales experience. Mm-hmm. And after a while, you see that the agents start not only memorizing that, that becomes very natural for them, but we still let them be them. Their personalities have to come to the phone. The way they assess situation has come to the phone. It cannot be a robot talking on the other end of the phone and reading word for word, which in some cases you have to do when you get to the certain regulated things, but in the process of assessing the needs, selling, we want them to be themselves.
Yeah, if you want people to be robots, you could just use AI at this point, right? You
Yeah,
can bring that humanity and their personality into it, sounds like.
You have to, because the difference between buying a retail item, piece of clothing, and buying insurance is different. We're talking about what I would say is this emotional purchase. Oh, I like the jacket, I want the jacket. Do I have enough money? That's the only thing I need to know. Do I like it? Do I have enough money? And I'm going to buy it. Mm-hmm. Health insurance is a rational decision. And in that rational decision, given the complexity, it's good to have another human being thinking with you through what the implications are, what my options are, how do I choose between these options. And even though I do believe in numbers and technology, I don't think AI can get us that at this point in time. Even then, you'll still need to have some human aspect in the process.
Absolutely. So let me ask you lastly, you mentioned Aetna is a 160-year-old company. HealthSpire is a startup within that company.
Yes.
So what have you learned from that, from maybe learning the best from an established enterprise company, learning the best from startup culture?
If you think about Aetna and HealthSpire, its relationship, between Aetna investing in HealthSpire and taking a risk to invest in a different business model that doesn't exist today, or at least doesn't exist at a large scale. So what I learned is that, as in any startup, it really takes few things. The first becomes, are there people who are willing to invest that have a vision where they want to go? And I was lucky enough to be part of the company that has a senior leadership who realized that the market is changing, the consumer demographics are changing, the profile of people that we employ is changing. So we need to learn this. And secondly, person that wants that job has to have a vision that's aligned with with the overall vision of people that are willing to invest, you have to have certain level of courage to try things that are not tried before. And most importantly, you have to surround yourself with people who have similar traits. People who are curious, people who are not afraid of challenges, people who are willing to sacrifice their time when the time comes to make things work. And most importantly, people understand that the success of the organization is not in having the products or the processes, it's actually having the people on the team. If we have the right people, and if we make them happy and content, our customers will be happy and content.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much, Denis.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for sharing this test, and I hope you enjoy this experiment and learning a little more about call center optimization.